Welcome back. It is day 3. How did days 2 journaling go? You kind of have these like, oh, is this what I've been thinking? How I didn't even know that existed, right? And when you start journaling, you start finding all these answers. And if you haven't done it, today I want you to stop this video right now and go back and do that stuff before you carry on, because otherwise this sets emotion, and it sets like a big momentum. So you have to start by the first thing and start building that momentum so that we can get into the swing of things, that we can really get into moving this creation of our forwards that we want to actually start working on. So pause if you haven't done it, go back and do it, and I'll be waiting. And yes, we're going to carry on right now with our third day. Today, we are talking about past, a topic we don't like. Nobody wants to talk about it, and a topic we feel is hard and difficult. Well, yes, it could be hard and difficult. But one thing I've learned is, so let me go back a bit. Do you remember the story I was telling you about, these difficult moments in life and how we tend to like focus on those moments? And that difficult moment can even scare you into doing something again in the future, because you might think it's going to be hard and go back to that old way of how difficult it was. So for today, I want you, let's go back to my story. Let's use the example when Malcolm got sick. Now, I remember just after he died, remember how I told you how petrified I was, how terrible it was? Here I was single. I didn't have I was a single mom, as a widow. I didn't have a job, and now I didn't have a place to stay. Do you remember that? Well, so how do I say this? If I look back on my story now, that story, at the time, although it was very difficult, I often ask myself the question is, what did I learn from that experience? How did I grow in that experience? And I took a very difficult story and I made it into a stepping stone, and I used it to build my life. So this is what I want you to do. So what did that look like, right? Well, at the time, I realized I had no other choice. I had to move forward. I couldn't just go and sit down. And in many ways, I was blessed because Mike was only 7 and I couldn't just sit in a heap and just do nothing, because I had my child to look after. Now, one blow after the next came. His life insurance lapsed. That was it. We didn't have money to fall back on. It was just the two of us. Didn't have a job, and here it was. I didn't have a house. Literally, we had a car. And everybody and everything came together the more I thought about it. But what did it teach me? It taught me that, yes, even though I didn't take the time to properly grieve, I was in panic mode, right? It also taught me many things about myself. And that is that if I want to, I can do it. If things come to the push, I push through it. And yes, it's terribly hard, but I always seem to move a step forward. And even though it doesn't feel like a step forward at the time, it just feels like surviving. And the other thing I learned about myself is asking for help. There's nothing wrong with asking for help. I remember a time in the beginning where when we heard Malcolm was sick, and even when he died, everybody was like, if you need anything, Claire, just shout. But what do we do as humans? We go, I don't want to phone them, and what are they going to think? And I am strong enough to do it all on my own. But sometimes we have to just reach out a hand and say, you know what, can you help me? I remember a time when I thought that, people just say that and they're not actually there. And just after the funeral, everybody was there and the phone calls, and then it tapered off to nothing, to absolutely nothing. And so many of our together friends just disappeared. And thinking about it now, at the time I was upset about it, but thinking about it, they must probably just didn't know what to say. And it was an uncomfortable situation. They didn't want to bring it up, and too scared what to say and what not to say and what everything else. And yeah, I lost a lot of friends, but I gained a lot more. And some of my friendships really deepened because of the process as well. And that was for me realizing that in that moment, when people offered help, the best thing I could do in making them feel like they could do something is actually ask for help and say, do you know what? I have been studying for X amount of time. could you help me with a meal? Like, I was studying back to back. I used to go to bed at 12 at night, wake up at 4 the next morning, get my son to school, go back and study. It was crazy times for me. If I think about it now, I actually sometimes wonder, how did I do that? I still to this day don't know how I did that. But your past influences your future depending on how you see your past. And this is what we're getting to today. And I didn't realize that until I look back and go, wow, I can't believe I actually did all of that. I went back to school when it was hard. I put food on the table. I found a place to live. And yes, all these things came to me very fast. Like suddenly I had a job and it was a half day, went to a full day, got me back into it. And then I decided I want to study. And then I got an opportunity to study while I was working and. So it unfolded. But I always had this vision of, I need to do this. I need to succeed. I need to do this. I need to succeed. So that is something that's very special. If I look back on it, is I used a difficult situation, I used it as a stepping stone into my future rather than a difficult situation. This is terrible, and I'm just going to sit down and go, I can't do this, and feel like a failure. So today we're going to dig in our past a little bit, because your past definitely reflects your now, and your past reflects your future, which can make it quite interesting, especially if we thought we worked through our past and then things keep coming up and they didn't. We feel like, oh my, we didn't work through our past. So today, what I want to do is, you've heard this. From the ages of 0 to 7, we kind of build this belief system in our head. And this is one part of the manifestation journey that everybody was talking about. And then I would go and say, okay, cool, finances. What did that mean in my life? When I grew up, how did I perceive finances, right? Oh, well, there was a lot. My parents were split up. There was a lot of times I heard my mom talking about there wasn't enough money, and it was saw my dad battling, and there wasn't money to go to university. There was always enough money for basic living and all of this, but the extras in life, which kind of made me feel like, that's part of life. It's just there isn't enough money, or you had to work very hard for money, you build these beliefs subconsciously on what you see and perceive around you as that person, that child. And sometimes it's only one or two things that you remember, but you kind of built this whole reality around what you remembered. It could be like hearing your mom talk on the phone and saying how she's worried to get through the end of the month, right? And now you think like, oh, if I wasn't here, then I wouldn't eat as much, and then she wouldn't have to worry to get through the month. But I mean, it could be just a voice saying that that specific month was a little bit tougher than any month. And I built my life around this thing. I made it a belief. It's tough. It's hard. Perhaps I shouldn't be here. Like, I'm adding extra stress. So now is the time. And this is most probably so fun part, is to go and work on the future. And you can actually go dig into this very, very, very deeply. And I really want you to say, okay, go and dig into this. What are the things you remember as a child? That's the first thing. What do you remember? And if you think about it, like, what are the things you think you believe about a specific topic? Again, take that wheel of life, okay, and say, what do I believe in each topic? So you can literally take that wheel, and those 10 lines, you can just fill in going, what do I believe about this topic? Relationships are hard. Relationships are easy. Relationships are fun. Relationships are difficult. Relationships mean fighting. Relationships mean I feel restricted. Relationships mean it's a joyous occasion. What do you believe about a relationship? Now, that's the first thing. The other thing, and I thought that was just it. What do we believe when we're kids, and now get rid of the belief? But there were so many levels deeper to this that I didn't understand. And this was that, what do I say about that? Because what I was speaking and what I was thinking were two different things. So I would often say, no, we don't have enough money for that. Or, no, I don't have time to go to gym. Or, no, you know what? I don't have money to go and buy myself good, healthy food. I'm just going to eat whatever's in the house. But then go and get takeaways. I just thought I said I don't have money, right? But there's money for takeaways. Isn't that strange? The mind is a fascinating thing, people. Right. So what do I believe? What do I think about it and say about it? What are your general thoughts when you're driving in your car? What do you say about a topic? I don't have enough. The relationships are hard. I hate being in this relationship. I am not a good mom. This is really difficult. Like, my boss is a jerk. Like, what are your general thoughts? And what I want you to do is I want you to catch them. Kind of feel like you're catching butterflies in a net. Is just catch them, look at them, understand, look at the patterns, understand what they're trying to say and release them. Because we don't want to hurt the butterfly, right? It's there for a reason. And this is how I want you to look at your thoughts for now. This is a big discussion in life coaching. It's something that we work with our clients so intimately on, because this is how breakthroughs happen in life, is working on these sort of things, the things that we think about all the time without us realizing that we think about it. So what does it feel like? What does it look like? What do I see? What do I hear? In other words, if I see two people, do I see happy two people? Do I see sad two people? Do I go, oh, they look happy now, they're not going to be happy for long? What are those things? What do you see? What do you think? What are your deep thoughts? What are the things you say to yourself? Now, this is a big one. Because what we think is one thing, what we say to ourselves is another. What do I say to myself? You can't do that. Nah, you don't deserve that. You can't do it. You failed so many times. Why would you think you'll be able to do it now? So these are the things I want you to really go and dig in. Oh boy, are we touching on some things now that perhaps we should have left alone? And I want you to go and write it out on every single level. Go and write it, feel it, work with it. Because once we understand, we see it's there, then we know, oh, you're there, we need to fix you. Oh, you're there. I just thought a fault pattern. It's just because I've been doing it all this long, we need to fix the fault pattern, right? But when you are oblivious to the things that are going on, you just have this feeling, right? And you don't know what this feeling is. What do we do with feelings? We shove them away. We don't want to work with them because they hurt, they're uncomfortable, they're scary. So we just go, I am the queen of shoving emotions away. I was so good at that. I was the best with doing that. Just like, oh, it doesn't feel good, like all scary, and just shove it away. And now what I've done is, now that I'm unpacking this stuff, everything is opening up. The deeper I go, the more I understand myself, the more things are coming to me. Isn't that strange? And this is what I've been trying to tell you guys. If you guys start doing the work, you've heard of taking the action. This is the action, my friends. This is the work. When you start working on this part, this is when things start flourishing. This is when things start working. So if you go, this is scary, I'm just feeling uncomfortable listening to you. Well, this means you need to work at this. This is why you're feeling uncomfortable, because you know you haven't been doing it. It's time to start doing the action points. So the other thing is, what makes me upset? I want you to ask yourself, what gets me upset when somebody says this? Why? Because it reminds me of that happened, and I don't want that to come into my future. Okay, so now that I understand the thought pattern, now I can write it down to know where it is so that I can catch it. I can catch that butterfly when it comes again. Okay, the next thing is, what do I worry about? This is a big one. What are the things I worry about in each of those sections of that life sections? What do I worry about money or finances? What do I worry about my relationship? What do I worry about my kids? What do I worry about my health and fitness? What do I worry? Because it opens up another dimension to you of where your mind has been going all these years. Remember I said we just have to understand ourselves so we start fixing ourselves. We're trying to band-aid little problems that come up continuously instead of going to the source. We need to go to the source of the problem to be able to heal it from the inside out. And this is the life coaching journey. And this is the proper manifestation journey. And let me tell you, it never ends, but it becomes better and better and better and better and better. You get to such a point that you're having such an awesome relationship within yourself. That negative talk is gone. Doesn't it sound amazing? Negative thought and voice is gone. That one that's always like in my head, like you can't do this, you're not good enough, all of this. Isn't that amazing to think that could be gone? And when it comes up, that it could be much easier. It's amazing. This time of the morning, still helicopters flying around. Oh man, I missed my days on the helicopter. Right. So I want you to think about, what are my fears and what do I worry about? And write them out. There's big exercises and toolboxes I can give you on fear and worrying about things, but for now you need to know what they are. So get writing. And I know this might be a little bit daunting. If it's daunting, it means you're on the right path. It really means you're on the right path. And I want you to go and explore this part of yourself. Is say, you know what? I love myself enough. And I want that specific thing enough that I want to have change in my life. I want to do this. And I know by doing this, I might uncover things I didn't know that was there. But at least now I know where to start healing and where to start fixing. Remember, this is an inward journey. Initially, everything feels like it's outward. And this is something I realized. This bad thing happened to me. This thing was hard and I didn't understand. And when I grew up, this happened. And when I grew up as an adult, that happened. And, it was like the world was conspiring against me. Like, give me a break already. I'm a good person. Just give me a break. Okay, that was my motto. Give me a break. I'm a good person. But what I realized when I started doing this work that I'm telling you now is going to change your life, when I started doing that, it became an inward journey. And then everything started happening. The outward journey appeared in what I wanted. But before, it was just, this is happening to me. And now I'm going, oh, but it happened for me for a reason. You've heard that before. Life happens for you, not to you. It's for you to discover yourself, learn, grow, be better at what you do, understand life, become more, be a contributor to life, give, explore, build, and have fun in your life. And that to me is an important part, is having fun and just realizing that life could be totally, totally amazing if we allow it, if we bring that part out in us, if it's not dormant anymore. We have to create that again. Remember what I said about the fun? Hope that kind of sticks in your mind somewhere and you're going, how can I create a little bit of fun today? So those are the things that you're going to think about. Again, you're going to have a little worksheet that you can work through to make it easy. And this time it's just going to be those, the wheel of life. And in each section, there's little lines. And what I want you to do is, what do I think? What do I believe? What do I feel? What do I say? What do I get upset about? What are the things I worry about? Those are the things that I want you to write in. I used to think it's just what is in my past. Yes, what is in your past is important for you to know, but so that you know where to work on. But it's actually the stuff going on inside of you right now that, because of the past, is having this. So if we start healing and we're working backwards and we can kind of figure out what's going on, that is when we get rid of all these beliefs that's keeping us from the thing that we actually wanted. It gets us to step out of that old belief system into something new. So I'm super excited about today, and I know you're on a fantastic journey to creating the real life. You're putting in the real work. You're doing the hard work, and this is why people see coaches, is I need to push past the stuff I'm stuck in in this rut for the last 20 years, right? I've been doing the same thing over and over. I keep having new partners, but they kind of like having the same partner. They have the same personality, same. You found yourself into that lately? Well, it's because you haven't been doing the work and changing. So this is opportunity for you to discover who you are, for you to know which steps to take to get you up. Tomorrow is the interesting part. Tomorrow we start working on the future we want. Is this not where we want to go? So tomorrow is good, and I'll see you then. Have an amazing, fantastic day. And remember, phenomenal living is your birthright.